all ages. It is your favorite time of the week. Wrestling chat with friends.
Guys, enough of that.
Yeah. It was fun for a couple of weeks to have
Jesus,
some
Elliot.
soundboard, but it's gone now.
I was afraid it would go
am Mega
forever.
Ricky Blackwood, your favorite heel in heels. And as always, I am joined by, I'm going to introduce you first now, Elliot, because you threw something. Elliot the Collector. What's up, Elliot? How you doing this week?
I am here. I am present. I am accounted for. And as always, I'm accountable. I was
That's
afraid
my
we would do
favorite
that extended minute and a half version, so I had to get rid of it as soon as possible. It's great to see you guys. There's a lot to talk about, but quick collector's choice this week. Mail call came to Collector Manor today. We got Jade Cargill, the most important female in professional wrestling, perhaps. And
the
then
baddie in a box.
from Series 10 of the Unrivaled collection, as you can see, AEW's put out over 100 figures already. We have Andrade El Idolo.
Ooh, I like that one too. Wow,
Isn't that a good one?
Good one. I'm gonna get both of those.
And finally, the second version of this, the first one I've received, the new TNT champ, Wardlow. So we're off to a good start. There is a lot to talk about, and I wish we had 3 hours. So let's get it on, guys.
All right. And as always, additionally, we have our producer extraordinaire, Cheats, 27 belts. How many belts do you have now? What's the count?
Well, we're going to change the name from 2 belts to 3 COVIDs because I am in my third COVID isolation as we speak. Hopefully, I will be out of it tomorrow. But the little man tested positive on Friday of last week, I want to say. And then we tested negative. My wife and I tested negative up until Monday. But little man gave us what would be our second bout of COVID this year. I think a third overall. So at this point, who knows? We're just trying to make it a day at a time.
Cheats 3 COVIDs. While they hate that's your new name, I mean, it's got a ring to it. Cheats 3 COVIDs.
We'll see.
Well, prayers up for speed recovery. We're definitely glad you are with us tonight, and just hoping that everybody in the family starts feeling better soon. Well, it has been a crazy week of wrestling. If anybody is an AEW fan, you know last night's show was bananas. So go ahead and get us started. Elliot, what are you popping for this week?
I know you and I discussed it yesterday that we were probably be popping for the same thing. So thank you for serving it up for me. I hope you've got one in backup, but for me, it was pops recently had been about moments. Your pop last week was Ricky Starks mocking Danhausen just by using the Danhausen voice. My pop last week was Eddie Kingston getting on the mic and just screaming like a madman before going after Jericho. And another one this week after Hook took the belt from Ricky Starks on bended knee. Ricky Starks looked up at Hook, put the fist out. Hook gave him the fist bump. That fist bump popped me out of my seat. Like I said, it's happening more and more often, and it's happening exclusively with AEW. So kudos to them. That was a great moment. It was a great match. I know we'll get into it, but that moment, the fist bump, the acknowledgement of respect popped me.
Just for the record, I have on my Starks Pearls of Solidarity for all the Stark marks out there today that are feeling feels, because I felt all the feels. Like, I put it on Twitter, but like I literally hollered. Like, you remember when you when you were little and like something happened, you'd be like, ah! Like, I legit hollered when Hobbs attacked him last night. But the fist bump was definitely a beautiful moment. Thought it was setting it up so everybody could still be on the team. We'll get to it. Cheats, what was your big pop for the week?
I'm going to stick to the same match and the same kind of moments, if you will. I thought AEW did a flawless job with the FTW title. Danhausen getting worked pretty early, but then them sending Hook down, I thought that was great. The pop for me was the Ricky Starks promo, the absolute promo before the match started. So Danhausen comes out. And they really are I think they're doing an amazing job to really highlight what Starks does well and put him over. And everything they did last night was indeed to build Ricky up for bigger and better things, well deserved. But they put him so over even the fist bump was to put him over. The speech after where Hobbs decks him, all of that was to win him over for the crowd. But that promo was the first thing that made you think, oh, this is going to be different. This guy is really going to be marked for big things in the company. And so the absolute promo was hilarious. It was hilarious as well. And so that's my moment. That is my pop of the week because that whole sequence, AEW, I think, executed it flawlessly.
Well, I'll agree with that one as well. And that definitely is for the Stark Marks from the beginning. There was definitely some Stroke Daddy footage in that package. And the whole package really gave the vibe of like the stuff he was doing on the Independence before he came into AEW. So just super thrilled for Ricky Starks. My pop of the week is also Ricky Starks. It's going to be the promo he gave before Hobbs decked him. Uncle Crush, how could you? But it's been happening the last couple of weeks. So his promo before the big tag match, the promo on Dark that he gave right after that, and then this one right after when they gave him the mic. I think he cemented his place as maybe one of the best. He's the best talker of the young generation, especially with MJF out of the picture right now. And when he said, "I took leather and metal and made it gold," like everything he said about the championship was real. The championship feels more important now that he was doing this little open challenge for it, and now that it's on Hook and it's a generational. I was popping for Starks all night. I can't deny it. It was
Can I ask a legitimate question though?
Yeah.
Since no one else is here, at 32, can we really call him the younger generation? He's 32 years old.
I don't know.
MJF is 25, right? 20.
Yeah.
MJF. Like that.
There are more 31-year-old young superstars in AEW than there are 24-year-old superstars. I think, unfortunately.
But at 32, do we consider Ricky Starks a younger generation guy?
He's young for TV.
Not really, but at the same time, I mean, he's not. The whole production is relatively young. I mean, even if you exclude Jericho and Christian and like, 'cause you've got those guys, you got your Stings, your Matt Hardys, and stuff like that. If you look at like the real like flag bearers of the show, Moxley's 36, Young Bucks are I think 37 and 35. Like they're not old guys running this promotion, but they're not super young guys either. I know we have our babies like Darby and Jungle Boy and stuff, but I don't know, of the next generation maybe is a better way to put it, because Starks does.
Yeah, I mean, I think
he didn't have the grace of coming in with the other ones that had built their name somewhere else.
Right. I think what we have to say about Starks, and this is a good time to talk about Starks if we want, because I think he is now is his time. He has to ascend to not necessarily main event status, but he has to ascend to being more over than he's ever been before, which I think he has. I think he's demonstrated that he has the it factor, right? But I do think that he is now, and we have to consider that guy like prime. Like we can't consider him like new wave next generation. And honestly, this is a good thing maybe for another segment to look down the list, maybe between the ages of 30 and 36, because I think we'll be surprised at how many people that we would consider on the cusp of stardom fall into that category in professional wrestling. But the problem is they're going to blink and they're going to be 37 to 42, and they're not going to be Jon Moxley. They're not going to be CM Punk. They're not going to be Daniel Bryan. You know what I mean? Daniel Bryan. And then the question is, what happens if they miss their opportunity, right? So I think Starks, Wardlow, don't be surprised. Wardlow's 34.
Yeah.
Like these guys, if they don't do it now, you know what I mean? If they don't do it now, they're gonna be in trouble of like looking up one day and being like, oh look, like the future's here. I
mean, yes, and look at people. I know he's an outlier, but Eddie Kingston. I mean, dude cut his teeth on the Indies for 20 years before anyone gave him a shot. And
anyone who wasn't with WWE was on the independents. And if you weren't picked up by them, you were on the independents well through your 20s. And a lot of AEW talent cut their teeth in their 20s. And now we're seeing this is all new because this is only the first option we've seen on TV in a long time. And it's working like gangbusters. And
I do think what they're doing with Starks is working. I think what they're doing with Wardlow is working.
With a lot of their talent, I think it's working.
I think it's interesting because I do think it's working. I'll be interested to see who gets there. Like if we're a year and a half from now, right, and we're still looking at Jericho versus maybe even Kenny Omega comes back, or Jericho versus Punk and those guys. I mean, I'd still be excited. I still think it'd be an awesome thing, but I wonder, does that merge those? Does it age some of those guys that are, again, this is just the 30 to 35, right? 30 to 36-year-old. Does that merge them out room-wise? Because under that, what you got coming up, right? And sooner or later, some of those guys are either they're gonna have to get there. Like I'm talking about then you're talking about the under 30 guys, right? It's an interesting dilemma.
All right. I have two things. So first, I think getting there, right, looks different for everybody. Yes, I'm sure everyone wants to be John Moxley with the title in their hand, holding it up, saying I'm the champion. But you've got to have your QT Marshalls. You've got to have your people that are going to come out and can take the L. And like, maybe it's not getting there as far as being the superstar of the company, but I mean, for some people, like being a hard worker, being a good jobber to come out and put somebody over, like QT, I think all of the new talent had to go through the factory before like they could get their hands on the real stars of AEW. So getting there may look different for a lot of people. Second thing, just because you up, like I'm genuinely hoping that this challenge against Moxley is going to be the last we see of Jericho in the title picture. I think it should be. He's had his run. He is old and can't go the same way some of these other guys can. So I don't think you can continue to justify him being a part of the title picture much longer.
He will be. I mean, he will not be in AEW come the fall. He's going to step aside, go on tour with Fozzy. So yes, I can't see him a year from now coming back with everybody who will be there and hopefully be healthy. That he's going to fit in. I agree with you. He ought to continue to pursue music for after this final run.
I agree with a couple of things that Megan you said, and it happens with everyone. I do think success looks different for different folks. And so for a guy like Eddie Kingston at this point in his life, he's as over as he's ever going to be. He's probably making more money than he's ever going to be, and he's doing exactly what he wants to do. He doesn't necessarily need a strap, right?
Yeah.
I think for guys like Ricky Starks,
at
32 years old, I think he needs to be in that. You know what I mean? He needs to be one of the guys. He's that, and I think he's that good. I think everybody, again, we all love Eddie, but I think everybody will agree with me that at this point in his life, Eddie Kingston is overachieving in the sense of like living his dream and doing things that no one ever predicted he would ever do. He is the best
Eddie Kingston to have ever Eddie Kingston.
He is the best technical wrestler in the history of professional wrestling named Eddie Kingston.
There's a handful of folks, again, and you guys hit this on the head. I want to even say last week, maybe the week before, but there are a handful of folks like a Claudio that come to AEW at the age that they are, and they want to be the top guys. They've got to figure something out to put a strap on Claudio as soon as possible. You got to figure something out with the Daniel Bryan, right? Like, and it's just, I am fascinated with where some of these AEW stars in particular are going to plateau.
I mean, I think you're going to see I genuinely, until Hobbs did what Hobbs did, I thought it was like, okay, we're clearing up the FTW championship so they can go after the tag championship. But I think like with Ricky, like they take one belt to give another. right? Like he needed to move on past the FTW championship. He needs to get himself in a position where he can challenge. I think TNT title is probably more accurate of where he's right now. But you never know. With TK, he can switch shit up based on how fans react. And people are like, Starks is over the moon over right now. He had almost they had the Roosh Moxley match. And then it was the Starks show for like 40 minutes. So clearly TK is trusting him with time, trusting him with the product. So I don't know. We might see a Starks AEW title run sooner than later. Let's jump into that Moxley Roosh match real quick, because it seems like Roosh has been everywhere all of a sudden. Like, I'm sure he's been, dude's been cutting his teeth and killing people in all different places that I'm not aware of before this, because he comes with such a heavy litany of achievements before he even stepped in the ring at AEW. But that Roosh Moxley match last night, he was giving it to Mox. Mox was getting beat up a little bit there.
Mox, I'll say it. Mox got the shit beat out of him last night.
There you go. That's the thing I'm not going to say as a heavy.
In a way that we haven't seen, but
yeah,
Mox is able, and it's not just because he busted open. Mox now does that every single week, but it was the way Roosh was dishing it out and the way Mox was selling it. They're a good combo together. I could watch them, fight every night if it was offered to me. Mox is establishing himself as the number one man in the company right now. It's gonna be exciting when Punk comes back, how they're gonna bring him back and what they're gonna do with that championship. But right now, the way Mox is able to dish out punishment, take punishment in a way we've sort of been seeing him do it for years. He did it for many years on some kind of level, but we're seeing it really ranked up. He's an MVP right now.
Amen. Did you get to see that match, Cheats? What were your thoughts?
I did. No. I thought it was a fantastic AEW Dynamite last night, and I actually loved that as the lead-in match. I thought it was great. So Roosh, pronounced Roosh, written Rush, is he is a Mexican star. He travels around the Indies. He is known that his reputation precedes him, and he does amazing work. And these are the types of matches, just to be honest, that John Moxley excels in, probably more so than a lot of folks on the roster, because you have the experience that Mox has in the Indies, and you're able to work a bunch of different styles and do a bunch of different things. It brings the best out of both athletes, both competitors. And I think that's a little bit of what we saw. This was a wonderful showcase for Roosh to be able to show what he can do. And it's going to be a process. I think it's the same thing with Andrade El Idolo as well. Extremely talented in the ring, but there's always a process to get over with this crowd and to constantly get over and get over. And if I think AEW continues to build on that stable and work them more as a tag team as well, I think they have a huge opportunity to be really big, a big entity, like a bigger entity than we're even foreseeing right now. Megan, Elliott, I got to do something. We have a very special guest about to come on. I need to do one thing, and I hope that our special guest can see the chat.
Now I want to look at the chat. I want to know what's happening.
This is dynamic podcast right now.
This is dynamic podcasting. We'll edit some of this out, but we've been working for a few weeks to get a very special guest on the show. We're bringing him in a second.
Questions are getting relevant. What's up, shoot?
And we are bringing in, ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Chat with Friends audience. I think he answered the question for us because he wrote in there, Shoot Taylor, because he's a man of many names. Yeah. We've got to make sure we get it. We got to make sure we get it correct. But ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Chat with Friends audience, we are bringing in a very dynamic, very young, 2022 has already been a big year, but it's going to get bigger. If you're following on Twitter and you following everything Shoot Taylor does, you see him holding belts, you see him cutting promos. If you're watching AEW, You'll see him as well as a part of the factory and getting in the ring. He's just not too long ago in the ring now with a new champion. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Shoot Taylor to the program. We made it happen.
Shoot. What's up?
Welcome to Wrestling Chat with Friends. I'm going to turn it over to our host, Megan, but we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for being with us. Do you want to go by Shoot or Blake Lee? How are we living today?
Oh, no, we can't hear him.
Oh, we can't. No! Audio. We can't hear. We can't hear you.
Oh, wah, wah, wah.
Elliot, what'd you say, Elliot? Amazing podcasting. This is going to be amazing podcasting for us.
Oh,
are you on headphones?
Nope, he says to hold on.
Okay, we're holding on.
That was scintillating. That was scintillating.
Riveting.
You know what?
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm just excited because I've got my questions, and I'm so ready with questions.
I'm excited as well because
my heart is in my throat.
We've got not only one.
Talking about it, Shoot Taylor was one of the first members of the factory to go up against Hook, who we were just talking about, took the FCW championship from
Ricky Starks. I became a full-on Starks mark last night. That he's been building
the family. Starks
it's been building. We talked about some comparisons to The Rock many weeks ago, and I said, okay, let me pay this guy a little more attention. And last night with that fist bump, sold. Strap it on him, and the rocket ship and just go.
For me and Starks, it was the Jay Lethal match. Jay Lethal mentioned
when he did the spear out of the lethal injection.
The Jay Lethal match was one of the first matches where it was like, oh, Ricky Starks is different. Because the Jay Lethal match happened before the New Orleans Homecoming. The New Orleans Homecoming was one where after the Jay Lethal match,
they gave him a face entrance for.
Oh yeah, no, I was completely upset. We go back and check the records. I was extremely upset about how they put him over, but they really put him over. They put him over like he was big time over, and he was the heel of the match. He was shaking the ropes and getting the crowd involved, but you could tell that he had everything that he is displaying and more. And so I definitely think if you're looking for, if there is, maybe this is premature, but if there is a void that is going to be left by MJF, Starks has the ability to fill some of that hole, a big part of it, maybe 85, 90%.
I think he could fill the whole hole and cut a new hole for himself. I've been on team. You guys can check the podcast. I've been on Team Stark since day one. I think I saw like maybe one or two promos, and then I went back and watched his indie stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this kid has it."
But they're gonna make Starks a face, right? Like he's gonna be a face from now on.
He's got to be now. He was already doing the turning face thing, like in the last couple of promos of being like, it was, a heel will blame anything. The heel will be like, it was windy in the city that day. The draft got in and I lost. Starks has been owning his losses. He's been saying, it's not bad luck, it's just bad timing. The face turn has been happening.
I say that because I don't know if anyone can fill the MJF heat hole being a true face. Like MJF's heat was like I've never seen heat like that in professional wrestling, basically. And so outside of outside
of the NWO,
Attitude Era. I was gonna say Attitude Era. Attitude Era heat. That was Attitude Era. DX Nation.
What happened to Shoot Taylor? Is he coming back?
I don't know.
Did I dream that, or did that
He
happen?
was on for a second, and then I don't know if we can make it. This is what we're gonna do though, because we do have another very special guest.
We do.
And he's been on since 8 and ready to come into the program.
Bring him in.
Our good friend, Victor Perry. We
My
love
man,
look
Victor.
at him. Hey, look at him. He's got the summer. He's got
the
summer braids
going.
You look great, man.
What's happening? We've got it all set. I'm going to turn it over to Megan again, but Victor, welcome to Wrestling Chat with Friends.
Meow, 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 meow. We love you. Welcome
Oh no, can we
back.
not hear Victor either? Victor, can we hear? Oh no.
No.
Jeez.
What is happening?
You can hear me now.
Nomination for there he
Yes,
is.
Yes.
There's our man.
yes,
All right.
Yes.
Victor, great to see you,
Because
man.
then I was like, it's gonna be my fault. It was gonna be my fault.
How you
Jeez, you
doing,
got to
bud?
take it
Thank you
on
for
the chin this
having me
time, but
back.
it was your fault.
You're welcome. Great to have you here.
Welcome, Victor. We are so excited to hear about what you're doing with the club. You guys had an amazing adventure on Monday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you. So, Vic, I'm out of moral fortitude, not talking about WWE. So I have to leave when you're on, even though you're my favorite and I love you so much.
Oh,
So-
come on, Megan.
I'm going to listen, and I'm so excited, and we love you guys so much.
We
But
do.
I do not
She's
platform
gonna listen
WWE.
in.
Hashtag believe women. Elliot cheats. Y'all treat Victor kindly. You know I
Oh,
love
We
you
him.
know.
will.
You know it.
Victor, my God, what is going on? Elliot, I know it's so excited. Megan already teased it up. Monday was a big night for the wrestling club. Tell us all
Yeah.
that's been happening. There's been so much that's been going on.
Yeah, the wrestling club has grown immensely on the online world and in the wrestling community since we last spoke. We had Sasha come by to see the kids. You
Where do
guys
we
gave us.
start? Do we start with this? Do we start with Elliot? Where do we start? Do we start with Sasha Banks coming in? Look, we got to hear these stories.
Victor came onto our radar after his video that was retweeted first by Sasha. Am I right? Yes. And I think a lot of people took notice of what Victor is doing at his school with this club during the most previous school year. I think at some point WWE got in touch with you, Victor, and Sasha made an appearance at this club. Victor, for anyone who doesn't know, Victor has started a wrestling club. He's a wrestling fan. He noticed that we're some kids who are wrestling fans, and you've begun showing them old clips, new clips, pay-per-views during recess, during homeroom at your school. And Sasha came to visit after seeing his video posted of the kids. And this led to, and this was a few months ago, but this led to WWE. Were you sort of their hosts back on Monday? Was this Monday's plan originally come from that? Tell us how that all happened.
Yeah, let him tell the story. This is great.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say her name, just because she asked me not to.
Sure.
But another wrestler reached out, and she's so gracious and so kind, and she was like, "We're coming to New York. I want all of your kids to go to the club. From the club to go to MSG." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." But I said it's gonna be tough because it's summertime. A lot of the kids are out of the country. I teach a lot of Caribbean kids. So they're back home in the Caribbean. So they didn't get to go, but we had 20 tickets. And so we took 16 kids to Madison Square Garden. And so WWE, along with that superstar, really made it happen for the children. And it was such a crazy, you can look at the videos. The kids had a blast.
I'm all about knowing details. Did y'all meet somewhere, then take the subway to MSG? Did y'all meet at MSG?
Yeah, so we met at the school, and I can't take subways. I have claustrophobia, so everyone knows this. So I was like, we'll just take lifts. And so I strategically was like, okay, we can get 16 kids and we'll get 4 adults. And so all of the different adults got a lift. And so we put the kids in the car, and then we drove from school to Manhattan. And so we did the same thing that we did before. We went to Taro, which is our little sacred place now, where the kids eat pizza, and they have this huge basement downstairs. Right, it's really in the subway, that basement area. And so that's where we held the kids for an hour, and we ate pizza, we talked, we chatted, made predictions, and then we went to the show. It's literally right across the street. And so we went into Madison Square Garden, and you got video clips of the kids reacting when they first walked in. They were just like, whoa, oh, it was crazy. And they loved their seats. WWE did a good job I was happy that we didn't get floor seats because I knew like the kids would not want to stand, and they're short. So WWE did a really good job of giving us tickets where we could see literally, we could see backstage, we could see everything.
Wow.
And so the kids they had something to look at the entire time, whether it was in front of them, whether it's trying to see who's backstage. It was just such a fun event.
Do you know of the 16 kids that went, how many of them this was their first time inside Madison Square Garden?
10 of them.
10 out of 16 their first time. I've been inside a sold out MSG for a music concert. How was the energy? I know they sort of block out a little bit of it, but I'm sure it was advertised as being sold out. I'm sure there were at least like 14,000 there.
Yeah, it was advertised as sold out. Electric. It was electric. Our side was a little quiet, but the kids were so loud. Like I remember when one of the kids started like a chant. It was so cute. Like one of the kids said, I forgot what it was, and they started a chant, and everyone around us were like doing it with us. And then like they did this. One of the chants, they said something inappropriate, and one of the kids like, TV 14 or something like that, and I just died.
They started a TV 14 chant. That's great.
Yeah. It was cute. It was so cute.
What do you think? Biggest pop for the kids? What was it?
Oof, it was gosh, Bianca, Seth, and then there's one special kid in the group who's like the biggest. She's the president of the club, Becky Lynch. You can see her reaction on Twitter. It was incredible.
We did. We're gonna give your social media handles in just a minute because I want everyone to go watch these. These have really kind of made my 2022. What are some of the challenges, if there have been any, in keeping up with these kids over the summer when they're out of school? I know y'all have been texting a lot. Are y'all pretty much have standing Monday and Friday appointments and are communicating everything in between?
So yes, the challenges are the consistency. The kids, it dwindles. Sometimes they're like everyone's talking and chatting, and then other times it's like they don't talk. So that's a little frustrating at times. It's like, are you watching it? I want you to like keep up with the product. But it's so much fun because you can see them invested in pockets, and then when they're all together, it just feels like a collective unit. And so, like for instance, this weekend is SummerSlam, and so we were talking about. I don't think we're going to do it, but we were talking about doing a Google Hangout instead of texting. And we're on camera and we're like watching each other's reactions. But I think I'm gonna wait to figure something out that for later down the road. But for the ones that are invested, like we have about like 5 of them in the group chat that literally I had to tell them like, I'm gonna need y'all to chill. Like y'all are blowing my phone up. I can't tweet. Like sending so many messages. But it's cute. And their curiosity peaked this summer because a lot of them started watching AEW on their own. They were like, hey, Mr. Perry, you heard of this thing called AEW? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, you want to watch it? And so we've watched it. And then one student, the Becky Lynch fan, like I told you, she's the president of the club. I bought ROH for her, and we watched it together last week for the first time. It was my first time watching an ROH pay-per-view in full, and it was her first time ever even hearing of ROH. And so you're starting to see the more that we do this and the more that we talk about it, the more curious they are to learn about pro wrestling as a whole, not just WWE.
And one note, Victor, that's interesting that you bring that up because we've noticed, obviously through your Twitter feeds and other things, that you are also expanding kind of your 2022, you kind of universal wrestling base, like you said, ROH. We know from comments that you're now starting to really get into some of the AEW characters and storylines as well. How has that been for you in regards to having the wrestling club mostly focusing on WWE, but now seeing that because it's very distinctive that ROH is a different product than even from AEW. AEW is a different product from GCW or Impact or New Japan. A bunch of us at WCWF has been going to New Japan. So really getting into some New Japan stuff. So How have you started to how has it been for you, kind of expanding those types of companies and different types of wrestling styles?
I wish I knew about it when I was 10. I really do. Um, because I think that I would be a pro wrestler. Like,
Nice.
like WWE is such a mammoth, it's so huge. And I love it. It's what introduced me to pro wrestling. But then to see it broken apart in other companies and to see the different way in which the stories are told and built is so cool. And like I'm almost like a kid again. Like I'm going through and discovering so many different talents. Like I heard of Jonathan Gresham, like, but I'd never seen him. And so to see him and know that he's 5'4", I love that.
Right.
Like I'm shorter than Gresham. I'll say that much. I will not say my but I'm really short. And I was like, yo, like he's out here. Like you wouldn't see that in WWE. Like
No, he would have. Grisham would have never. And honestly, Grisham has. He speaks today about his challenges of still, because being his size and the style that he wrestled, he's not a high flyer. He's a very athletic man, but he's not a high flyer. So being that size and really being, I think he's over 200 pounds, to be a real pure wrestler, it is something that you don't see, and he was able to elevate it to the top of ROH.
Yeah, and to see him in a ring with someone like Claudio, I was like, yo, I wish I was 10 years old again and could see this. I would not be discouraged because I stopped doing sports around high school because of my height. I was so good in middle school. Everyone was the same size. And then everyone gets school and they get taller. And I stopped. It discouraged me. I don't want to do track anymore. I don't want to do swim team. But I wish I could have seen someone like that at 10 years old, because it would have told me, hey, you can be awesome at whatever size you are. As long as you have the talent and the work ethic, you'll find your way. And so I'm happy that I can now give this to my children, and to see them tell me things like, Mr. Perry, I'm considering being a pro wrestler, or Mr. Perry, I'm confused because I want to be a nurse, but I want to be in WWE. It's like, okay, let's talk. Like let's make this happen. You're positioning yourself in this world without me telling you to. That's what I love the most about this club. But I also think it's because they see that if WWE is not an option, you have AEW. If you don't have AEW, you have New Japan Pro or ROH, or like I haven't even seen GCW yet, but I know it exists. And so and I think there's another one, MLW.
Yeah, there's tons. There's tons. MLW, Defy, all kinds.
There's UEW, the promotion that we attended a few months ago. Victor, it's great. One thing that you said just a minute ago that resonates, especially with everyone here. You're talking to two guys who have never seen 5'7". So, believe that. We know exactly what you're talking about.
Let me ask this, because I have to ask. What was the kids' reaction to Sasha and Trinity? And now the word is that they are no longer in WWE, but Sasha was the megastar, not just a WWE superstar, but a world super megastar that came to your class. So I'm sure the children are endeared to Sasha / Mercedes. And what is their reaction to them no longer being with the company?
It's tough. Every day they're asking. Every day they're reading. They are so hip to what's going on in the world. Their accounts. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, Mr. Perry, we see your tweets. And like, if they're seeing my tweets, they're seeing everything else. And so they're sending me articles from the dirt sheets, is what they call. And some of the information is accurate, some of it's not. Sure. And they're forming their own opinions on the situation. And so we've spoken about it. They want them to come back. They want both of them back. One student in particular was like, the name without both of them. They even criticized, like, why is it only 2 matches on SmackDown, and then one is not even a match, and the other is only like 2 minutes. Like, it's a lot of things that that they are processing as they're getting deeper into it. But they want them back. We went to the show and they had legit boss signs, and they all wanted to carry it. Like, they love Sasha, like Mercedes. Like, I'm gonna call her Mercedes. They love Mercedes a lot. She touched him in ways that I think will always impact him. And so it's tough. But like I tell them, whatever she does and whatever Trinity does, we'll follow them. We're gonna support them. They were like, they saw that she has this meet and greet thing coming in August. And I was like, yes, in Chicago, I won't be able to take you. And they were like, oh, we want to go to that. And I was like, yeah, well, we'll find other things to go to support
absolutely.
them.
They're just going to go everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is fantastic. This is amazing. And there's another thing. The last thing I'll ask you about before we get into some of the SummerSlam predictions, because we got to talk about SummerSlam and some of the SummerSlam predictions. But you were doing something, and you were posting them on your social media, that I think not only was it educational, not only was it teaching the children about public speaking and confidence, but it was also hilarious and getting reactions from WWE superstars when your students were cutting promos to wrestle other students, I believe. Tell me a little bit about what that project was and who reacted to it, because it seemed like everybody was picking sides and taking promos and taking kids. Tell us a little bit about that project.
Yeah, so first off, it's thanks to you guys. When y'all got us the belt, when y'all got us that championship belt, it real for them. They've never had, and when I tell you, they take care of it so well. Like, every day, they're like, can we take it out? Yes, they go to the closet and they'll take it out and then make sure that it's kept in a neat position. They check in on it, they wipe it off, they clean it, they put it back in a little bag. Like, they love the belt. And so I think because they had it, it made it real. And so all that was so unplanned. That was something that I was supposed to do the promos and the scripts, like, and the characters next year, like in December, like once we learn. But it was last week of school, and we had nothing to do. They were watching matches, and they were just, one kid was like, oh, I know what it was. I was like, can I film you guys? Like, I just want to film you guys saying thank you. It was just sent to a couple wrestlers who had reached out and said something to them. And then one of the kids was like, well, can I cut a promo? And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? He's like, I want to cut a promo. And I was like, yeah, but you need to write it. And you need to create your own character. And then so the other kid was like, can I do it too? And I was like, sure. I said, if y'all are serious, go home and do it. Tomorrow we'll look at it. And the next day, they came in and they had like sheets of paper where they've like written and had names. And I was just like, oh, y'all were serious. They were like, yeah. And so they started doing it. It started out with one kid, and then 2, then 3, then 4. And I think we have like 8 kids on the roster who are doing it. And it's so fun because for most of those, so like a neat thing I can tell you guys, I was supposed to loop up with these children. So initially the game plan, I'm new to this school. This is my second year. Well, this is my third year now, but it was my second year when I got these kids. I was supposed to teach them in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. I only taught them for 5th and 6th. I'm not going to 7th grade. I want to stay in 6th. So I've seen them grow. I've seen them on Zoom when we first met. And then I've seen them in person. And I can kid you not, these children, especially like James Canyon, they struggle to speak. They struggle to understand ELA for most of the 2 years. And then it clicked with WWE. And it's so cool to see like James Canyon, he cuts the best promos out of all the kids. And I'm like, you never speak in class. You struggle to speak. You never raise your hand. You're not confident comes to speaking. And now he's so confident. Like, I can ask him to do anything, and he's like ready. Like, he has the mindset of champ. And so to see Carmelo Hayes, like, he's the fam. If Sasha's the honorary for the club for women, Carmelo is the honorary man for the club.
Melo loves he loves obviously he loves everything that the club does, but it seems also the club loves Carmelo Hayes.
Yes, they are a part of the Melo gang. And Melo's a part of the wrestling.
And they're really active with each other on Twitter, right? Don't they? Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Respond to them and they shoot back and forth. Yeah.
Yes, he even messaged him on Monday, which I thought was really sweet. He was like, "Tell him I said hello." Like he saw there at Madison Square Garden. So like, yeah, he's fam, and so seeing him respond, and like I don't send him things, like he does it out of his heart. Like he responded to James Canyon and was like, "Yo, like this is crazy." Like he loved his promo, and it gave James Canyon so much confidence because he was just like, "I want to be like Melo." He always talks about in class, "When I shoot, I don't miss," and I'm like, well, yeah, if you're gonna be that, look at how Melo, like his confidence. You can't tell him anything. Whatever he does, whether it's right or wrong or good or bad, it's gonna be great, in his eyes. And so that's how you have to walk into your own life. You got to have that confidence. And then seeing him cut promos where he's like slick and like gritty on the mic, I'm just like, yo, this is so dope. And so Big E also, he responds a lot to the kids. Like I said, they have so much support from WWE superstars, and I think that's what helps it feel grounded for them, because they're able to see, okay, well, the things that I'm doing is being seen and heard, and it's impacting not only us, but it's impacting those that we look up to. And so I'm going to continue it. My goal is to get them jerseys with their names on the back, like their wrestler names. And so that when we go to events, like they can be their characters at these different shows. So that's something that I want to do for the children.
Victor, we want you to stay and talk SummerSlam with us, but it gives me goosebumps when every time you and I talk and I hear or read about what you do with these kids. The superstars of WWE have a lot to do with this, but lots of people watch these guys and don't grow the way your kids are doing. So, don't dismiss. I know you're not going to put yourself over because you're humble like that, but don't think for 1 second that this doesn't start with the man that's standing in the classroom with them, and that's you. You are a hero in every sense of the word. So you are doing some great things. You're also doing some great things with music in your life too. And we could dedicate a whole show to your music as well. So, go to Wallflower Perry. That's your Twitter handle. You have music on Spotify, but it starts with Wallflower Perry. Go see him. Victor, you've been the best part of my 2022, honestly, getting to know you and getting to see what you're doing with these kids. These kids are going to have amazing lives in big part to you. So let's get into SummerSlam, man. Mark?
Let's get into SummerSlam 2022. It is another stadium show. The WWE is returning to stadiums, and this is another Saturday show. I don't know if we've talked about this in the past, but WWE is trying to transition their big events to stadiums and trying to transition a lot of their big events to Saturday. And so far, it's worked out pretty well for them.
Except for having to move the venue out of the stadium in Las Vegas.
Except for the Vegas. Which one was that?
That was Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank had to move from a stadium to an arena, and there was a huge UFC event right in Vegas that night as well. Yeah, that the WWE and AEW brass were shown right in excuse me, at the UFC fight after their big. It was crazy. It was crazy. However, hold on 1 second.
That's riveting radio. That's the best part of the whole show right there.
It's gonna be there's editing for a reason.
By the way, I hope you feel better.
I know. I gotta still. I forgot what was going on. Then I was like, oh yeah, I'm still kind of coming at it.
Yeah. Take your time.
But let's start SummerSlam. Let's start at the top. I don't want to waste any time. We've got the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns taking on Brock Lesnar. I need predictions and thoughts of the matches. Elliot, you go first.
Okay, so This is one of the ultimate blow-offs that they've had in the last few years. These guys just keep dancing around and toward each other. I'm ready to see this come to an end. I think Roman's going to go over somehow. I think they have what WWE has done a lot is just bring Brock in as a Dragon Slayer. He takes the title, loses it quickly, disappears again. I don't want to see that again. Roman is the man right now in WWE. So I don't know how much of this I'm going to end up watching, but I think this Roman will lose his title to somebody else within the next year. Just don't know when or where, but it's not going to be this Saturday.
That is one for Roman Reigns. Victor, what do you think?
I agree. Roman's gonna win. Don't know how. I think it will be outside interference of some sort. But I don't see him losing the title. If he does lose the title, potentially it might be a clash at the Castle, or Mania. But I don't see him losing no time soon.
Mark, what do you think?
I am holding out until WrestleMania 2023 in Los Angeles, Hollywood, right? And I think they'll get The Rock to come back. I think it'll be Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I don't think Reigns drops the title until Mania, until the Rock match happens. And he still may win that match. But until that time, I think Roman keeps doing what Roman does. I don't think anyone can touch him in the company. I think the Bloodline and the Tribal Chief is still the best thing WWE has going, period. And it better keep going. Because if they drop that belt, it's curtains for WWE, in my opinion. So I think all three of us have Reigns on this one. We'll keep track of our awful predictions because we have been wrong.
Terrible
Not you, Victor,
track record.
But Elliot and I's track record is horrible.
Horrible.
Let's move on to the United States Championship. Bobby Lashley is now the champion. He is taking on Mr. Money in the Bank. Theory, what are we thinking?
Take it, Victor.
Bobby.
Yeah, I think so. Like that feels right. They've got Theory, with some other, getting looked at by other people, Dolph Ziggler amongst them. So yeah, that makes sense. And Bobby's a good steward for that title for the foreseeable future. So yeah, let's let Bobby go over.
Do we think that Theory's shenanigans comes into play at the main event? Because is he going to try to cash in? So Bobby wins this match against Theory, but Theory tries to cash in after, his night's not over.
I think Theory will cash in, and I think it's going to go wrong and not win because I think Dolph Ziggler is going to play a role in that to start that program officially. I'm holding out hope for Seth to just be Seth. But I definitely think will not be successful.
I agree with all of that.
Well, you bring something up. We'll talk about a match that we could talk about, but is no longer on the SummerSlam card. Is Seth Rollins against Riddle? You can look online to see reasons that have been revealed as being creative adjustments. They're not calling it creative differences; they're just calling it adjustments. That adjustment is unknown. It could be anything that they feel because now they're putting Drew and Sheamus together at the battle overseas. Drew was a talked about opponent for Roman at Cardiff. So I wonder if Seth is going to insert himself somewhere now into the Roman. Triple H might be pulling the trigger on that early. Thoughts on that wild story I just came up with just now? What do you think? Think Seth? They changed it?
I think Seth, you got to figure something out with Seth, and I think Triple H will. And I think the reaction, Victor probably can speak to this, the reaction in New York after the cameras went off, where it seemed like everybody was still singing Seth Rollins' song, proves that they've got to figure it out and make sure that Seth is a part of what is their biggest summer event in SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we're through with Seth Rollins. It's just, I think where Victor talks about the shenanigans, whether it's in the main event or some other part of the night, you're going to start to see a Seth Rollins storyline come into play.
Yeah. Oh, Victor. Yeah, real quick. What was the dark match after TV Monday?
They didn't have one.
Didn't do one. After Raw went off the air, the show was over.
They sang Steph's song and we left.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of singing, go ahead, Victor.
I figured I chalked it up to they're keeping the wrestlers safe so that no one's injured, no one's doing anything too much before the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I agree.
Huh.
Let's talk about what could be the match of the night, and it actually was the sneaky steal of the match at the last pay-per-view, the Usos versus the Street Profits. They've been going back and forth. They've been working each other really hard week after week to get to this point. Now they're in a SummerSlam big match, Universal Tag Titles. Who do we think comes out of this one?
So I spoke to my brother about this yesterday, and I was like, this is what I would do, but then it would mess up the bloodline. But I was thinking Street Profits win, and then the Usos go into this program where they feel like they've been neglected by their tribal chief because he's no longer there as often, and because of that, they don't have the guidance nor that family lineage to feel like they can stay on track. And then we go into a program like that, but maybe it's too soon because I do believe like they want to do The Rock and they want to, keep that bloodline. That's the moneymaker right there. So maybe not, but I'm just tired. I'm really tired of the Usos winning because it's making it extremely difficult to see them ever losing. About like with Roman, and I like that for a singles champion, but for a tag team, I don't know. And I just wonder, where do we go from here with the Street Profits? Who do we build up next to take on the Usos?
You're exactly right. The bloodline angle is, as Cheat said, the best thing going. It's so strong and so kind of over that having that trifecta of titles, each one of them wearing a belt, seemingly has become very important. Over the past years, this would be a scenario where the Street Profits would take the title off the tag team champions, regardless of whether they've been champs for a month or a very long reign or anything like that. It makes it, to your point, Victor, hard to picture that happening without teasing some breakup within the bloodline. And I don't think it's time yet. So yes, the strength of the bloodline has resulted in the tag division feeling a little bit less important or less capable of holding titles. Cheats?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. My heart tells me I want the Profits to lift the belts. My mind tells me that the Viking Raiders are going to be the X factor in the match, and somehow the Viking Raiders do something to upset the apple cart for the Street Profits to lose, and then you have the Viking Raiders in the mix where we want them to be as well. I do see the challenge. The challenge is if the bloodline loses the belts, what kind of happens to the bloodline, especially if Roman's not going to be there week in and week out. The real, I think, WWE problem with this is that the bloodline has all the belts. And so you're hoarding all the belts. You're hoarding both tag belts. You're hoarding the Universal Championship, and it just makes it less fun if there's not a way to compete for the belts in some way. So, I everything tells me it's not going to happen, but I'm going to pick the Street Profits somehow to lift those belts, even temporarily, just to infuse some excitement into the division.
Yeah, and we need a title change.
Yeah, we just need it. We just need it. Let's go to what you were saying is a battle between two of your kids' favorite wrestlers, and this is going to be for the Women's Raw Championship, Bianca versus Becky. I don't know what round this is. This has got to be round 3, 4. This is round 3. What do we got?
You look very conflicted, Victor.
You
I
do.
know.
You seem pained on this one.
I am, because they can go so many ways in the storyline with these two. Um, there's so much magic still. Like we see it all the time. Orton and Cena over and over again. It was magic. I could see Bianca and Becky just over and over again for a long time and never get tired because they know how to bring out the best in each other. I think Bianca will win to close out the SummerSlam chapter. And I think Bayley returns or Sasha returns. I was hoping if I was booking WWE, this is what I would do.
Okay.
I would have Bianca win, and then I'd have Sasha return and attack her. The reason why is because last year it was supposed to be Sasha and Bianca, but Sasha didn't come for whatever reason, and Becky came and took the spotlight. That would be my dream fantasy booking. Will it happen? Probably not. But I do think Bianca will probably win. I just can't see Becky winning now. I think Becky will go to SmackDown and be the champion for by the time WrestleMania season comes around. But I think Bianca will be champ for a while.
Would you be okay if that scenario played out the way you're calling it, but it's Bayley instead of Sasha?
I would be okay with that. I just wonder then what does that mean for Bianca's reign? Either one that returns, you have to assume that they're going to be the champion. So I just wonder what it means for Bianca's reign. And I also think that Bayley's needed on SmackDown more than Raw. So it's tough either way.
Where are we with Charlotte? Is Charlotte anywhere around?
I don't care.
She went and watched her. She went and watched her dad. She went and watched her dad train the other day. That's about it.
But is she? Is she?
No, there's no announcement.
Yeah.
They're probably holding her for the fall when they need to. Maybe when Bayley comes back and they sort it out. I don't. If Mercedes' involvement changed those plans even more, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know because the one thing we did see was Bayley and her good friend Mercedes still going around, vacationing together and hanging out. So, we don't know where that stands with anything. I do think Bianca retains, and that's more personal. I just won SummerSlam last year, and Bianca losing in the fashion that she did still sits poorly with me. And I thought Bianca getting the title back and doing this would make me feel better about it. It has not. So maybe it'll be an exorcism if SummerSlam happens and Bianca, beats her. She's never going to beat her in like 3 seconds. And I would need, for me to feel 100% okay with all of this, I would need Bianca just to squash her in front of all those people like she squashed Bianca. But I know WWE doesn't work that way. But I'm gonna say Bianca returns. I don't know if Bayley comes back just yet. I want her to. I just don't know where she is. So I just don't know. All right, we're gonna go quickly. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Also meant to say I forgot. They already teased the next challenger for the Raw Championship. It was Alexa Bliss. So You're right. Maybe Bayley doesn't come back.
They have a stacked talent. If they get Bayley back, or if it's another month and a half, they have the ladies to do it. So,
All right, we're gonna go through these a little bit quicker because we're coming up on time. Hey, look, the battle of the showstoppers, if you will, the reality TV Logan Paul versus The Miz. What do we think this is gonna turn out to be?
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of Logan Paul being at MSG on Monday? Was that a thrill for the kids, or did they not know who he is?
They don't like him. They were saying they were roasting him. Actually, they were like, "Go back to YouTube."
Nice.
Right. They don't really like him.
But he's a big guy. I don't think people fully understand how big Logan and Jake Paul. They're big guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're wrestling size guys. You said do they like The Miz? The kids like The Miz?
They do.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see The Miz win because I don't need to see Logan Paul gain any credibility.
No,
and he's already sort of a comedy, but he's probably going to win.
No, he's going to be a wrestler now. He's going to be a wrestler now. Get used to it. He's in there. And the interesting thing though, and we've got to be kind of intellectually honest and transparent about this. Before Tough Enough, The Miz was The Miz on the Real World, right? So that's that. And back in that day, that was YouTube That was, you know what I mean? We didn't have the social medias that we have now. But the real world was the reality TV of, my generation, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a long time. Now, like you said, the kids in Victor's Wrestling Club don't even know what the real world was in that sense. They don't know that he was the Miz was a reality TV. They know he's a reality TV star now because of probably Miz and Maurice or whatever, Miz and Mrs.
Yeah.
But I think that if Paul comes in and gets the heat that we think he can get, shows athleticism like I think he can show athleticism, he could have a run. And he's in these companies. Like the Miz is a wrestler now. That's what he does.
He's a Hall of Fame wrestler.
Yeah, he's good.
So, all right. So I think my prediction though, pure shenanigans. My prediction is we've been worked the whole time. Logan Paul and the Miz are friends. They don't hate each other. They're going to be a great heel faction.
I'm down with that.
When it happens.
What if they become the tag team champs?
Yeah, I think, hey, don't put it past. I don't think you put it past anyone. All right, so we got two more that's listed on the card. Speaking of another kind of weird one, it's the Pat McAfee Happy Corbin situation. Pat McAfee has been known now to surprise folks, whether it was in NXT or WrestleMania, with his athleticism and ability to do things. I wouldn't be surprised that if he does really cool things, gets a big pop. But I'm gonna actually put Happy Corbin over on this one. You guys?
I'm gonna hard disagree. I think this is a Pat McAfee showcase here. I think somebody is going to assist him, so Happy has a new competitor to go with. But so McAfee can go back to the booth. But this is going to be a great match. I think, like the Miz Paul, it may have some great spots. McAfee, I'm sure, is practicing for one or two really high spots, which will really pop the crowd. So I'm hoping McAfee goes over and they set something new up for Corbin, because Corbin's a good soldier too, but he doesn't have the dynamic charisma right now that McAfee does. Victor?
Agreed. 100%.
Didn't they just give McAfee a layup? Was it WrestleMania last year?
Yeah.
Who was he? Did he fight Vince?
No, he fought.
Oh my God, who was it?
I thought it was Vince. Wasn't there a Vince in the ring? There was a Vince in the ring. It was ridiculous.
Didn't Stone Cold?
That was Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens.
That was Stone Cold. McAfee.
But there was a Vince in the ring. Like fighting.
Vince versus Pat McAfee.
I don't know if it was Vince versus Pat, but somehow Vince got involved in this, right?
We're all just spacing on this right now.
It's all good. All right, well, let's talk about. We'll figure it out. Let's talk about the last match I have listed on the card, which is Judgment Day versus the Mysterios. The Rey Mysterio had a big spot.
Theory.
It was Theory.
You're right. Theory. Yep. Good job.
Then that's why Vince gets in the ring. Remember?
Right.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, we just celebrated 20 years of Rey Mysterio in the WWE, which is crazy because I am still of the age where I do remember Rey Mysterio in WCW. I do remember Rey, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and I believe it was Perry Saturn that were all that were the guys that came from WCW to WWE and Benoit.
So the Radicals.
Like the faction, yeah. So I remember the Rey Mysterio in the WCW days, and I remember, believe it or not, they would never do this now. But Rey Mysterio, WCW made him take off his mask it was a segment where a very young Rey Mysterio lost his mask and wrestled quite a bit in WCW without a mask on. Mm-hmm. So, but Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio versus Judgment Day. I believe there's a stipulation. And we didn't talk about, that makes me remember, we didn't talk about the Jeff Jarrett refereeing the Street Profits Uso match, but that's going to be a factor as well. But there's a stipulation in the SummerSlam match, no disqualification between Judgment Day and Mysterios. What do you guys got?
Victor, what do you think is going to happen?
Judgment Day wins. Dominic turns on Mysterio. Or Rey turns on Mysterio. I think Rey is going to turn on Dominic.
Ray turns. I think Dominic's going to turn on Ray. I think that's.
You think so?
Although Victor, I love where your head's at.
I love your fantasy booking, but
yeah, wouldn't that be something?
No,
I think Judgment Day does win. I think Dominic then turns on his dad.
Yep.
And I'm going to join the online community and just putting out into the universe. Wouldn't it be great if Bray Wyatt came out and saves the New Day, or comes out at some point and saves somebody, and is back? I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to happen this quickly, but I would love to see our boy Bray back in the fold. But yes, Judgment Day with Dominic going over or turning on his dad.
I definitely think Judgment Day does it. I definitely think Dominic turns on Ray. He's tired of all of Pop's wisdom, all of Pop's love. They gave Dominic the send-off. Not Dominic. They gave Ray the send-off at MSG. He gets to fade to black. Dominic goes to the Judgment Day. And then I've had enough of the Mysterio segments. I'm good.
Same.
I'm good. I'm good on those. So, all right. We will keep track. That is SummerSlam 2022. Those are all. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. There is a bigger card than we thought. We forgot the last match we'll talk about. SmackDown Women's Champion. Did we talk about Liv versus Ronda?
I thought we didn't talk about that. I every time Ronda gets in a ring, I worry that they're going to put the belt on her. I hope it doesn't happen yet. I would love to see Liv continue as champion.
Same here. Here. Keep Liv. Liv she's over right now. She gets the pop of the crowd. She needs the belt. Ronda doesn't. She is going to work every week. Ronda probably is not. So hey, give me at least one good feel good story, and that's Liz Morgan.
Mm-hmm. Think so, Victor?
Victor, what do you got?
I just don't see why Ronda came back. If they don't,
it's not because she loves it. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
I just feel like this whole SmackDown division went when they brought Ronda back. Like they had other plans. I think some of the plans were for Sasha to go over at Royal Rumble and then go to Mania. So it's just weird to have this seemingly dominant figure, Ronda, come back and then to lose twice to Liv. Like, yes, I think Liv should win, but then I'm just like, well, what does this do for Ronda's character? Because she's never lost. You feel me? And now she's already lost once, and now she's going to lose again. It's just like, well, how is she going to – like, I just don't believe in the brand anymore for WrestleMania. The whole Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey thing. Becky can lose. Becky's on a downward spiral. Her character is not the man right now. We know who the man is. Ronda Rousey is the baddest woman on the earth or baddest woman on the planet, but you're losing twice. Like, it just feels weird. Like, I don't think they thought it through when they just rushed and put her in the spotlight of how it hurts her brand and credibility. But I am for Liv. I think Liv is a feel-good story that we need.
Yep. As always, Victor, you bring a lot of wisdom to our show.
Wrestling has a way of doing this, though, and they keep doing it, and for some reason, for the most part, it still works. Like, it could be tomorrow, and like Goldberg could walk out and be like, "I challenge so and so," and we know Goldberg ain't won a match since like 1998, and I'm like, "All right, Goldberg's gonna fight Bobby. It's gonna, and we'll see what happens. We don't know who's gonna win."
Yeah,
we know Goldberg's not gonna win, right? I think that's the interesting thing about the longevity of what they've done with Roman and the tribal chief storyline, because when they hit it the other day and it was like 700 days or something, I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, Sunday it'd be 700 Sunday.
Yeah, you don't see that in the modern era because it's almost like if you did play professional sports, and there was at one time there were certain sports uniforms that were just iconic and you didn't mess with them because that was the brand, whether it was the Cubs or the Yankees. Like, you just didn't deviate from what the Cubs looked like or the Yankees. Now every week there's new uniform that they're going to debut only because they know that at at the box office, and I'm guilty of it. If they release a new uniform, I'm probably gonna buy something that has the new like look to it, right? That's why they change belts so much. It hurts. Keeping that excitement gets the fans a new kind of storyline, a new fight. So I marvel, like back in the day, years and years ago, back when it was quote unquote Elliot knows this, the territory days, they didn't change champions at all. Like Ric Flair was champion for like 5 years, but there was people didn't see him every day. They didn't see him twice a week. There was this aura they didn't wrestle on TV. Even the champions, even when they had weekly TV shows, you didn't see the champion wrestling on TV, right? So now it's just amazing to me that a guy like Roman Reigns, who he's not wrestling on TV every week now, but he wrestled probably a lot, all the pay-per-views, and to be able to get to what if he gets to 699, I think he goes over 700. I mean, I just think that's amazing. I say that because they'll still figure out a way. Maybe it's shenanigans. Maybe somebody does do a run-in. I think they'll figure out a way to protect Ronda because they know that her storyline coming from the UFC and what she did still has to have an aura of invincibility. But I don't see her taking the title like they do it with Brock. Brock's now. If we start looking at Brock Lesnar's record over the last 3 years or so, it's not like inconceivably like he beats all competitors, but we have there's still this aura of Brock Lesnar that at any given day he could win. You know what I mean?
Question: hasn't Bayley been on Twitter tweeting to Liv? I can't remember against or for her. I know she was for Liv winning initially, but hasn't she changed her tune?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because
I don't know. I don't follow. I remember when Bayley gave her support to Liv winning. Hopefully everything Bayley's doing online is to build a return back. She should be doing that.
I hope so,
getting that cranked up. If she is coming back imminently.
Because I can see that happening. She could interfere and let Ronda lose, and they start a program with Liv and Bayley.
Yep.
That's a good question, and we'll end on this on this particular question about SummerSlam. If Bayley does come back, do you want to heel Bayley or face Bayley?
Heel. We need more heels.
Heel. Yeah, definitely heel. Absolutely, yeah, without question. What about you, Mark? You want to face Bayley?
They got to make her look good. They need some good heels.
Mm-hmm.
Bayley's the best heel. Bayley's at her best when she's a heel, period.
Yep.
She's a much better heel than she is anything else.
Yep.
However, I think people are going to naturally want to love her when she comes back. So it's going to be very difficult to she might come back, get an initial pop, and then do something very heelish. Almost like when Sasha came back the one time and had the red wig, turns heel, takes the wig off the same segment, and is down the blue haired Sasha heel. Like, I don't know. All right, gentlemen, this has been great.
Yeah,
Victor,
let's say one thing. Victor, kudos to you, man. Amazing. We appreciate you coming on, telling us about your experience Monday. You are best friend of the show. Give the club our regards. We're going to be keeping up with you through the rest of the summer, leading into the new school year. Wish them all the best. Tell them to keep up their promos. They're getting a lot of eyes on them, and tell them just to stay humble and stay hungry. Fans, go to Victor's page at Wallflower Perry. We didn't touch on it, but there is an opportunity for the community to help send these guys to WrestleMania 39. We want to do that. It's in LA. Victor wants to do it. We want to see that happen. So go online. You can see about a GoFundMe that's there. And you guys are doing really well. You're over 50%, right? So yes. We're just, every day I'm checking it to see how the progress is going. So let's everyone go see Victor. Victor, thank you so much, man.
Thank you guys for having me. Always. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. No, this is awesome. And we will do our best to continue to support as well. So thank you. Really appreciate it. We are getting out of here. Elliot, any last words, man? Is there any high notes that you want to end out on in a match of the week?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a couple of things. We dedicated the first half of the show like AEW kind of dedicated the second half of their show last night to Ricky Starks. So I was looking at some Ricky Starks matches in the independents of the last few years. A lot of the guys he's going to be facing kind of upcoming and recently are guys he's faced for a long time. There was a Ricky Starks Danhausen fight online from the Indies, but there was a Ricky Starks versus Sammy Guevara from probably 2 years ago. Inspire Wrestling, an organization they both appeared for. I'll post it on at WCWF Pod as the match of the week. Ricky Starks versus Sammy Guevara from Inspire Wrestling, 2018 maybe, so 4 years ago. So yeah, go check that out. Go check a lot more Ricky Starks. He was my wrestler of the week, and he face of the week. On a personal note, I want to thank 4 musicians from the state of Vermont who for over 35 years has been playing music and touring. The band Fish. I'm going to go see 3 Fish concerts over the next 3 days in Raleigh and in Maryland. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. And so my faces of the week are Fish for continuing to tour the nation and entertaining us hippies. Mark, who's your face of the week?
Oh man, I'll stick with the music theme. I wasn't thinking about this, but there is a woman out of Tennessee. I think her home base is in Memphis, Tennessee. She is an amazing singer. Her name is Valerie June. And if you've ever heard any Valerie June song, you will never forget it because her voice is one of the most unique voices I have ever listened to. She is last year, she's Grammy nominated now. And last year she released an album. She has a single off that album that is featuring a legendary soul singer, Carla Thomas. So Valerie June featuring Carla Thomas. Make sure you check that song out. It is she has an amazing record. It's an amazing song. So Valerie June, if you're not familiar, look it up. It's an amazing songstress. So I'll leave it there on my kind of good notes. And then I just quickly, we've alluded to it. I joked about it at the beginning, but for somebody that is probably, I think I'm one day removed from being able to go out with the land of the living again after being isolated now for about a week. Just encourage everybody to take COVID seriously, wear your mask, no matter how you feel. I feel like everyone should get their vaccinations, get their boosters, and protect everybody around them. It does not, as people have clearly pointed out, it does not stop the spread per se, but I feel like I'm on the road to recovery, and I think I'm on the road to recovery because I am vaccinated and boosted and doing stuff where had this been a different time, maybe even a couple years ago, we would not have been so fortunate. So make sure you take care of yourselves, make sure you take care of everybody else as well, and do the best you can on that.
Facts.
All right, and we're going to count it out. Elliot, 1, 2, 3. Catch you next time.
Darius Lockhart, come on.